Hi, you guys. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Allie Wilkins. If it is your first time here, I'm so happy that you've stumbled across my channel and I hope you enjoy my videos. And if you're coming back again, welcome back. So this week we're going to do something really special. I'm going to call it 5 Days of Infinite Beauty to celebrate infinite beauty and it launching this week. So what we're going to be talking about in this series are 5 of the things as women that keep us out of our power in relation to radiance, magnetism, beauty, and really our energy underlying all of that. So the first thing I want to talk about is, what does infinite beauty even mean? Because I think that people assume it means just like, oh, this is just a teaching on how to be more beautiful. And it's actually so much deeper than that. So infinite beauty back in I think early 2021 or late 2020, I was doing a meditation and Green Tara came through and she was like, you're going to create this thing called infinite beauty. And first you're going to practice it on yourself. So in the beginning, this just consisted of a 28-day ceremony that I did every morning and every night for like 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at night or less. And I just noticed at the end of it, I was like, wow, I feel this connection to beauty in a much deeper way that is really connected to the source of my essence. It's not even connected to what I look like externally. And I remembered back in, I guess this was in college or maybe a couple years out of college, I can't really remember. I did this experiment and I was like, I wonder, because I had been learning about all this stuff about with energy and money and, like changing my thought processes around certain things and noticing big results coming just from changing my internal experience. And when I was younger, I was like, let me just try this with my body and see what happens. Because I used to work out like religiously in college and count my calories and all the things. I'm sure many of you guys did that too. What we were taught to do in order to be attractive, right? And one day I remember I was just on the elliptical and I would do like 450 calories. I wouldn't get off until I did that amount. And then I would eat like broccoli and chicken only. And one day I was on the elliptical reading Us Weekly. That was my magazine I used to read. And I was just like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I even here? I'm not here because I care about my health. I'm here because I'm trying to be skinny to fit in a certain outfit, to look good at a party, or to like, it was always for something external. It wasn't for me. And so I had this moment where I was like, I'm going to stop working out as much and I want to see what happens. And I'm going to start looking at my self-talk and I'm going to start changing it. And so that was the seed of the work that Infinite Beauty is now. This was like 10 years ago. And I noticed my body started to change when I started to change how I saw myself, when I started to talk to myself differently. But going back to 2020, I had worked on becoming more magnetic for years, since probably from like 2015 to 2018. I was super focused on becoming more radiant because I had these mentors who were just like exuberant. And I just felt kind of dull. I felt like boring and average and just, or not boring, but just like, nah, like, I wasn't feeling like vibrant. And I really wanted to feel really radiant. And so I put a lot of focus and attention on that. And I used a lot of affirmations and I just did a lot of inner work to feel more radiant. And coming back to 2020, I knew that there was a deepening available because I felt myself, first of all, I was coming a lot more into my own feminine energy and I could feel this gap present of like, okay, I'm holding this amount of radiance, but there's like 500 more voltages of 500 more like hertz available of me being able to hold a higher frequency of this. And it actually feels uncomfortable that I'm not holding that. And so this is actually the perfect segue. What I'm going to talk about in today's video, one of the things that's holding us back in relation to our own radiance and magnetism is exactly what started happening for me. So in late 2019 and early 2020, there was this big surge of the conversation around feminine energy. And so I was feeling like when I would see these pictures of women, you know, embracing their feminine energy, I would feel it would bring something up inside of me that just felt really uncomfortable. It would either be like judgment of like, why is she showing her whole body like that? Or like, who does she think she is? Or there would be a judgment of some sort, or a comparison on myself. And I just was like, I don't like this feeling. This isn't like, I'm wanting to deepen into my own feminine energy, but then I'm like judging other women who are in their feminine energy. Like, this makes no sense. And so that's when I started asking for help and support. And I also started really working with the goddess. And I mean, I've been working with her for like 10 years, but really going deep into the goddess mysteries and the initiatory experience in 2020. And this is when Infinite Beauty came to me. And so Green Tara was like, you need to do this yourself. It's going to help you with this. And I was like, Green Tara, are you sure that it's you? Like, because she's not really a goddess of beauty. Green Tara is a goddess of liberation. She helps you to liberate your mind. You can kind of think of her as being similar to, oh gosh, I'm blanking on her name, Kuan Yin. Duh. So Kuan Yin is a goddess of compassion. She's one of the most known goddesses. And I was just like, Green Tara, are you sure that, you know, you're the one to lead this? She was like, yes, don't use any of the other goddesses. This is about liberation of your mind. And see, even in that, it's like this shows us what part of the distortion is in relation to I've been calling this our blueprint of beauty, because we think that beauty is external. So I was expecting like, oh, Aphrodite should come in, or like maybe goddess Isis, or maybe even Hathor, like, or Bast, like one of the goddesses who's more associated with beauty. But beauty radiates from our internal experience. It doesn't, you might have certain genes, but guess what? That's going to fade. That's not going to be there forever. And there's a very distinct difference between radiance and beauty. So someone could be like really naturally very beautiful, but when you feel their energy, that's actually what sticks with you. So for example, if you like met some random person, or maybe you saw someone on Instagram and you're like, wow, she's so beautiful. Then you meet her in person and you have an interaction and the energy doesn't hold that same quality of beauty, you're probably not going to have the same, I don't even know what word I want to use here. You're not going to hold that same image of her, like in the same beauty that you originally saw. However, other people that you might know, like I'm thinking of one person in particular, she has the brightest light. She just exudes magnetism. So it doesn't even matter what she looks like. I know when she's like 97, she's still going to be so radiant and bright. That holds your beauty. That makes you beautiful, no matter what's going on with your face. It's not circumstantial, it's eternal. And so that's what Infinite Beauty is really about. And the thing is, when we start to shift and change our internal experience of ourselves, like how we see ourselves changes, our external body literally changes. It shapeshifts. And I've experienced this myself. Like I said, in college, I was doing some stuff with this. In 2020, again, when I started doing this ceremony, I started noticing, I'm like, do I look different? Because I feel like I do. Now I feel like I look really hot all of a sudden. Before I was like hideous. But I've also experienced this, like people who have gone through Infinite Beauty, literally so many people say, I look so different, or this worked so much better than me like fasting and going to the gym and doing like hot yoga every day. Our internal, we know, it's just interesting. I want to caveat here because like we know all this stuff in relation to manifesting, but we don't really apply it to what we look like. And I think that there's some thoughts potentially about like that being vain, but here's the truth. As women, our power is kind of rooted in our beauty. It's kind of rooted in our radiance. It's rooted in our magnetism. And if it's not rooted in it, then it's at least a massive asset, right? If I feel like I look really good, I'm going to show up totally differently than if I'm like feeling not good, right? So we show up in the world differently when we feel really good about ourselves. And how can we start to make that our normal experience? because I know a lot of people, and I want to just stop here for a second and just say, everyone is on a different scale of this. Okay. So if you grew up or were alive in the 90s, you were around for the diet fads and, you know, taking hydroxycut and these pills to make you like lose weight, and all of these different fads and diets and trends that had no concept of your health really in mind. It was purely about, you need to be skinny, you need to lose weight, you need to look this way, otherwise you're not acceptable. And so in that last 30 years, we've gotten a lot more conscious of, especially in the last 10, about like, okay, there needs to be more body sizes shown. There needs to be a wider variety. It can't be 00 to 8 in the store only. Like, that's not okay anymore, right? There's diversity shown on everything. So we've done a lot of improvements. However, that programming is still there. So unless you actually take the time and have the concentration and focus to literally rewire your brain, you're still going to be operating with that. And I've had so many clients that I've talked to in the past, and just friends and people I know, who are like riddled with self-criticism, and their self-talk is just so mean, so mean. So that might be the starting point over here. And then when you move along this scale, other people might just be ready to deepen in their radiance, deepen in their magnetism. Maybe they've already done the work. Maybe you've already done the work on your self-talk, and you really just want to come into this more powerful ownership of your expression, of your energy, of your aura, of how you present yourself to the world. And like, that's where I was when I was saying, you know, I had all these mentors who were so magnetic, and I was like, how can I be that way? How can I become magnetic? I want to become magnetic. And then after enough work on that, literally like a year or two later, everyone, their compliments to me, they would always say like, you're so radiant, you're so magnetic. I'm like, literally, that's what I've been working on for the last 3 years straight, or the last year straight. So people pick up on what you're doing internally without you saying anything. You start to exude that, like, this is science. And sometimes science is over my head and I'm not really into science sometimes. But we'll call this quantum physics, because I feel like that's sort of just like a law of the universe. So what I wanted to talk about today, the first piece around where we get stuck, this is going to be for the person who, if we're talking about that same scale again, I mean, really, it could be for anyone, but it's going to be for someone who is likely holding a little bit more masculine energy, which is the majority of women, PS, in the Western world, holding more masculine energy. And maybe you're wanting to start coming into your feminine energy a little bit more. So this is such a classic thing to experience. Like, I've talked about this with so many different people. This is something that I think almost everyone goes through when you are starting to pull away from your hyper masculine energy. And that doesn't mean you're like manly and gross. It means that you're controlling things. It means that you aren't surrendered into your feminine. It means that you just don't know yet how to express from your feminine energy, because number one, feminine energy has been suppressed and shamed for 2,500 years. And number two, we're raised to be masculine literally as a means of surviving. So it's not really our fault that we don't know how to operate in our feminine energy. We're never taught to, unless maybe you have a rare parent who is operating in that, but most people don't. So when we're coming from this like hyper masculine state, which, by the way, I was fully this corporate job, go-getter, ambitious, like I was full steam with my masculine energy, like, and I've shifted drastically in the last few years, and it impacts a lot. But one of the first things that I noticed was I started having people come into my field or coming into my feed. Like, once I set the intention of, okay, I want to tune more into my natural state of energy, I started seeing more feminine expression coming in. And the first thing I did was judge it. This is what I see so many people do. And so if you're in this space right now, this is going to be the perfect video for you. this is an important moment to ask yourself some different questions, because it's really easy to be like, wow, why is she wearing that? Or wow, like she's looking for so much attention, or like whatever it is that you might say. Like those are things that are ingrained in my own belief system from how I grew up. Your verbiage might be different, but there's a judgment going on. There's even perhaps like a shaming going on of what somebody is doing. And some of the things that really helped me shift out of that were like, number one, would I have the courage to post something like that? Would I have the confidence to post something like that? Would I have the balls to post something like that? What would come up for me if I was sharing something of that nature? Because it's easy for us to like judge somebody else, but you have to ask yourself, would you have the bravery, courage, confidence, security in yourself to be able to do that? And for me, the answer was like, fuck no, of course I wouldn't. No way. I would not ever post anything like that, because I would be scared to. And so then like that question really opened a major door for me of like seeing it differently. And I love that there's a quotation from, there's a quote from A Course in Miracles, and actually like several pages, where they talk about like, please just change my eyesight. Please change my perception. Please change how I see this. I want you to change, like God, I want you to change how I see this. Goddess, I want you to change my perspective and how I'm seeing this experience, this situation, this person. And that question really, really opened that for me. And from that point on, I saw everything very differently. And then I kind of took it on as an invitation for myself of like, okay, what is it exactly that makes me uncomfortable about this? What are the stories coming up for me? So I mentioned one, there's a story in my family like about attention. And this has like been very negative towards me, about like people wanting attention for something. And so for example, if someone posted, okay, actually, where's my phone? It's gonna take me too long to find it. I posted this image last year when I was promoting Infinite Beauty, and it was this picture of me in a bikini, and it was kind of like, the bikini was small, and at the top it said, "My body is art," because this was something that I was really coming into awareness of like, dude, I am art. Like this is a unique expression of God and Goddess. This is not like just a random appearance. Like I'm an image of the goddess, just like you are. And so I had done the work to start to see myself as a piece of art. And that itself sort of started triggering some things with people around me. And so when I posted this, there were a few different people who had something to say about it. And I'm like, wait, why did I even start talking about this? Talking about attention. So maybe I should work on my attention span. Anyways. So I posted this video, or I posted this image, and a few years before I would have been like, why is this girl posting that? Like, she just wants everybody to see her body. Like, you have like, why do you need that attention? And for me, when I posted that last year, it was like, wow, what a shift in such a short period of time. I posted this from a space of, I genuinely love my body no matter what it looks like, no matter what weight I am. I will love my body because my body is doing everything for me. My body is doing all of these different functions for me. I am not going to complain about my body no matter what it looks like. I love this. It's a piece of art, and it's for me to take care of. And so I was posting that picture from that space. And I remember I had a moment of like, wow, years ago, I would have seen this totally differently. And so whenever we're looking at images of anything, whatever it might be, or even maybe this is like you going to a burlesque show, or you're in Vegas and you see women dressed with like very little clothing, it's an invitation for us to ask, like, what is the story playing in my head right now? And why do I feel the need to like judge or shame someone else? Because whenever we're doing that, it's making us feel better about ourselves in some capacity. It's putting ourselves on a higher pedestal. So if you're judging other women for expressing their femininity, it really only showcases how uncomfortable you are with feminine energy. And I'll tell you for myself, and I also have seen this with like people close to me, we don't know how to express our feminine energy. So like, and we've also, like, if you guys follow more of my work around the priestess returns, or if you've seen my masterclass Return to Goddess, which is like dope, you should get it before I start having people pay for it. It's really, really good. If you followed any of that stuff, you know that I teach a lot about suppression and the truth about what happened as we shifted from matriarchy to patriarchy, and what happened to women in that shift and that transition in time. And so we've been the church specifically, not to like lose some of you guys, but the church specifically trained us to shame ourselves as women and shame other women for sexual energy. This was trained into us, not us in this day and age, but it's passed through cellularly through fear. So if you're doing that, it's like you were literally bred to do it. All we can do is start to look at how can I shift this pattern because it's not helpful. And I want to be able to be fully expressed, right? And if other people judge me, who the fuck cares? Like, I couldn't care less about anyone who judges me, because it's a waste of my time. Everybody's always going to judge you based on where their own consciousness is. So when you look at something and you have an opinion or a reaction to it, it literally only shows you where your consciousness is. It has nothing to do with the other person ever. And so anyway, since we haven't been taught how to operate with our feminine energy, we have to learn. And especially like you're going to learn the most around this probably in two areas: in relation to your own radiance and magnetism, and then also in relation to in relationship, like with a masculine counterpart. What doesn't matter what the person's gender is, right? Polarities attract to each other. So that's how you're going to learn how to operate in that frequency the most. And you have to train yourself. You have to learn, because we're trained how to operate as more masculine energy and to keep us safe and protect ourselves. So learning how to operate in the other way is a whole different blueprint. It's a whole different way of being. So infinite beauty is one of the ways that, okay, first of all, I just have to say, like, this ceremony is so fucking good. It's a 28-day ceremony. You do something in the morning and at night, and you can also just do it in the morning if you want, but I would recommend doing both. And I'm not going to share exactly what it is here because I want you to experience the whole thing in the ceremony, but it's a 28-day thing. So it's easy to stick to. It's just for 1 month. It's for 4 weeks. And you're working with different energies every single day to show you, number one, where you are in relation to your radiance and magnetism, what makes you uncomfortable about certain aspects of that coming forward, and then how can you fully embody and own that. So that's the first part of Infinite Beauty. It just started out as that only. And that part has raving reviews. Like, I probably have more reviews for that than any other product I've ever created. Like, there's so many on the website. You can go look. There's at least 30 or 40 on the website alone. And I didn't include all of them. The second part, this is something that I've added, is a course. So there's 4 modules in this course. And this is going to take you more through the mental construct, whereas the other one is more an energetic attunement to basically your goddess energy, to your divine feminine energy. The course is more of a mental restructuring around looking at, okay, how is it that I am programmed? Because there's a general like systemic blueprint that keeps us insecure. There's a general blueprint around our insecurity, but within that, we're going to have unique things that come forward based on your parents, whoever raised you, whatever, this city you grew up in, your religion, all of those sorts of things. They're all going to impact you differently. So the course will help to take you from looking at your actual programming to understanding really the responsibility that we have to change the way that beauty is seen. That's a whole module in itself. Because if you think about like kids growing up today with, I just can't even imagine, like, so my generation, I'm 32. I was born in 1990. We grew up with magazines, with diet ads, with Weight Watchers, with, you know, the like 00 person on the magazine cover as the only body type that is like acceptable, right? But kids today are 12 years old on Instagram looking at influencers. Kids today look like they're 30. Like, all of the filters and AI, can you even imagine what that is doing to their psyche, what they think they're supposed to look like? And they haven't even like hit puberty yet. Like, it's unfair. So we have to become stewards of beauty. This is what I call it. And there's, like I said, there's a whole module on this aspect alone. How do we become representatives of what beauty actually is? And we do that only through embodiment. So that's a little just motivation for you if you're experiencing some discomfort or judgment or whatever is coming up for you as you're wanting to go into your feminine energy, but maybe there's resistance when you're actually seeing how it is showcased because you just don't know how to operate in that yet. And I'm just saying this purely from my own experience. Also, like I said, I've worked with so many different people who go through similar phases as we're shifting from that hyper masculine into more of our unique balance of masculine and feminine energy. So Infinite Beauty is open all year, but what I do is when I launch it in the springtime every year because this is really one of the best times for us to tune back into it, and then it integrates throughout the year. And the really awesome part, I love that I do this. Every spring, I launch this again live, so you can come back into it and do the ceremony again or do the course again or whatever you want. And people do this every year and they're like, whoa, it, like, after doing it already for a year, it deepens a layer every single time. And I experience this too, because I've probably done it 6 or 7 times now. So every year you have access to anything new that I add. This year, I'm going to be adding some new stuff around radiance and magnetism. And every year I add more, so you'll always have access to that. And it is open all year long, but I offer a discount when we're doing it live. So that's the best time to join. Let me think, is there anything else? I'll put the link in the comments below. There's so many details on the website that you can go look at. You can see all of the reviews. This is one of my most loved products that people use over and over and over again. So if you feel called to really deepening your unique expression of your beauty and just like holding the energy of I am art always, no matter what you look like, that doesn't waver. And if you feel called to, you know, shifting your self-talk into like seeing yourself as beauty, can you imagine how much energy you save, how much power can be then redirected to other areas? This is huge. This is a huge source of our power. And it's my personal belief is that us being cycling in insecurity is probably been something that has been either purposefully created to keep women out of our power, or is an unfortunate, you know, thing that has happened. But the result is that we are so focused on trying to fix ourselves all the time. What would happen if we put that energy elsewhere? What would be the impact of that? So this is why I'm really passionate about this. It's not about like, oh, I'm going to help you get longer eyelashes. This is like, I want you to feel as confident as you possibly can so that you can take your mission on with gusto, not with leaks. I always talk about power leakages. And if your self-talk towards yourself is negative, you are leaking immense power. And it's not okay. It's not okay. And I've talked about before, you know, insecurity is an addiction. We have to fix this. It's not something that's okay. We have to rehabilitate ourselves from being in a massive scarcity loop that keeps us insecure and out of our power. So Infinite Beauty is, I keep calling it a bridge to your goddess consciousness. It's the bridge to getting out of this gross ass system that is stealing your power from you. Would there even be a beauty industry if we all loved what we looked like? Like, one of the gifts of the priestess and of the feminine is adornment. So I do think there would still be like makeup and things like that because it can be fun. It's a way to express ourselves. However, I definitely think that the entire industry would change quite a bit. And you can start to see that happening now a little bit, but like, how much money do you spend on beauty products every year? How much money do you spend on skincare? How much money do you spend on hair growth stuff? How much money do you spend on your makeup, right? Okay, I'm gonna stop because we have 5 days for this. We have 5 days for this. So if you got value from this, please give it a thumbs up. Please leave a comment below. Please let me know what you receive from this, what resonates for you. If you've done Infinite Beauty before, please share your experience of it so other people can see that. I'll pop the link there so that you can check out the landing page. If you have any questions, they're all in the landing page, but if you do have any questions, feel free to email me, aliwilkinsabundance@gmail.com. You can sign up for the full course or just for the ceremony itself. So if you're like, I don't need all the mental stuff, I just want to do the ceremony, you can buy that separately. And if you want to do the whole thing, which is what I would recommend, that includes like, there's a really epic Akashic Records journey with Hawaiian priestesses. That one's actually my favorite journey I've ever led. You get that, you get all of the old group replays that have different lectures and teachings in them. There's lots of stuff. And if you want to be included every year in the updates, you have to join the course. The ceremony, you're just going to get the ceremony information and that's it. So, okay, that is it for day 1 of the 5 days of Infinite Beauty. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this was helpful. And I will see you tomorrow for day 2.